I didn't consider the cancellation of the radio show a complete disaster. Having said that, today I would have normally been at the radio, and I've instead spent a day which has consisted of pilling myself up with codeine, watching Funhouse on YouTube and laughing at the mullets, and making Rice Krispie cakes, walking home with this, Tina, like a proper smackhead. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would someone of my age be doing this? There were people, this is tragic, that were younger than me. They were like 14-year-old girls and that, laughing at this, laughing at me and my life. This was considered a good day until I took a step back. I'm going to coin a new term, snackhead. I'm a snackhead. People do go on about my belly because of things like this and that, but I've got to store my talent somewhere, and I store my common sense between my legs, which explains a lot. What?
Okay.
Not funny, that bit?
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be hilarious, is it?
I wasn't thinking of it.
Is this whatever I think of at the time?
I need to do chocolate with those if you want Rice Krispie cakes.
Yeah, I do. I'm currently in a pub. It's 7 AM and I'm going on the exact same megabus that I always go on, which is head into London, but this time I'm getting off at Reading, which I was always jealous of other people doing because it's half the length. Because David Paris lives in Reading, and I'm going to do a roundup podcast to explain this whole shutting down business of the radio. It's really good. I'm just going to go and see him for fun. So every time I've seen him in the last year, there's been some, like stressful, high pressure show in the evening. So this is going to be a cool day. This pub looks really civilised because of those books, but there's loads of people 80-year-olds standing up, which I haven't got the energy to do now, drinking pints at 7 AM. Okay, everybody, welcome to what is probably the last stand-up sit-down, possibly ever, but certainly in a long time.
And the critics said we'd never make it.
Yeah, I am the Madness Magnet Ed Surname, someone whose CV is worthwhile and extraordinary in the views of some people, completely worthless in the eyes of others, aka the majority. I have him with me here, the voice of choice.
I am the very vocal majority.
The voice of choice, David Paris. Welcome.
Guys, it's been far too long. Way too long.
It has. Now, because this is actually going out on my website, it means that we have every single internet user watching us. Or have I confused the potential audience with the actual audience, David? And if so, where have we heard that before? That would be
it's wonderful how easy it is to spin numbers in this industry, isn't it?
On FM. We've worked for On FM for the last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you call it working when there's no money, contracts, official anything involved? It's the most Mickey Mouse operation I think we've ever been a part of.
Well, yeah, and that's saying something.
The bar is pretty high or pretty low in that regard.
Absolutely. On FM has lived up to its anagram potential and become No FM, and that's why we're here with superior surroundings, superior equipment being used here. We are filming this to round off our series known as the Stand Up Sit Down, something that we had fun doing, but something that's come to an end because, well, short story, the equipment was thrown out in the street and the manager skipped to America. Can you believe this?
Literally took the money and ran.
Yeah.
That's what happened. To talk about going out not with a bang but a whimper.
Yeah.
not with a bang but with a locked door.
Yeah. Skip the country. So she's gone, and actually I'm glad because 1 year ago when we started this whole endeavour, I remember that we said, if this hasn't finished somehow in a year, we'll eat our hats. I was like considering what condiments to use and stuff.
That's right. We were checking the recipe books and warming up the grill, ready to say, well, you know what? They lasted. Oh no, they didn't.
Not at all. You actually received this information as I did from one of our stand-in hosts.
Yes. Clearly, the moment that we left on FM, everything went to pot.
Well, yeah. I don't know about you, but on my CV, I'm just writing the facts. We left. They had to shut down later on. The facts.
That's it. While we were there, they were broadcasting out of Riverside Studios, and then we left, and shortly thereafter, it all came to a crashing halt. And yes, we were both informed by one of our stand-ins, one of our replacements, that she turned up one day, no forewarning, no notice or anything, just turned up, and bless her heart, was not allowed into the building.
I'm so glad that we left when we did, because I can imagine turning up with a guest, we'd have looked silly by association, But you mentioned Riverside Studios there, but I was just thinking, to people who have just been listening to the audio version of this podcast, they wouldn't know we were broadcasting out of Riverside TV studios because a bizarre thing, we weren't allowed to announce this.
Which again, that instantly set alarm bells ringing. I'm not a paranoid person in the slightest, but occasionally just little hints or things will happen that you think, hang on, why is this occurring?
Yeah.
And that, you know, our station manager was so adamant. Don't tell anyone where we're recording from. Now we realise it's so that the Batman couldn't catch up with her, probably, or so that the creditors couldn't track her down.
It must be, because Riverside Studios themselves were actually bizarrely okay with it, and that's something that was of confusion to us at the time, because we'll just go through a history of like when we moved to Riverside, because like I say, we haven't actually covered this in the audio podcast itself. We moved there, and as soon as we moved to Riverside TV Studios, remember we capitalised on trying to get a pilot there.
Of course.
And we weren't allowed to announce on air anything that's happening. Being the maverick that I am, I announced on my website, of course, but literally none of us were allowed to announce on air. It became like the big thing that we couldn't do big posters all over the place for no apparent reason. And part of me booking this meeting for us with Riverside TV Studios was to get the pilot, but part of the reason was I wanted to find out categorically whether we've been taken over or not. Do you remember there was that optimism, masses of optimism, thinking we've been taken over, it's going to go commercial, On FM's going to be commercial, we're going to be a part of it.
That was a hope. We thought that we were going to be able to ride the crest of a wave onto something amazing. But because of our experience in the professional wrestling business, we know not to get our hopes up about anything.
And it's been, 4 minutes with a wrestling reference, a record, I think.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time. But in this case, it's so true, because you've heard so many false promises and ideas of, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and we're going to go to all these places, and it'll be amazing, and this time next year, Rodders will be millionaires.
Yeah.
So we just knew. I think our reaction was, okay, let's see what happens.
Yeah. It was, but there was that little bit of optimism. I think, in retrospect, it was like a masterstroke that we immediately, categorically found out that Riverside had not bought On FM.
Yes.
I actually remember, if you recall, we were in a pub in London, so I have to narrow it down a bit. The Wetherspoons in Lyric Square. And it was at that point that we were all optimistic. I'd just come back from the meeting. I could pinpoint the moment that you knew that there was no future in this. Because afterwards you started talking about other projects. I said, yeah, you know, it hasn't been taken over at all. They're just renting the place. And I think, can you recall that? Does that register with you as the moment that it dropped?
Completely. And the only mistake that I made in that assumption was say that they were renting the place, because that would imply that they were paying for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just all, we left, not actually, we weren't rats leaving a sinking ship, were we? That's not a fair thing.
Not in the slightest, no.
You had your own projects, I had my own projects. In the meantime, we did book some stand-in presenters, just because I can understand, like, you know, in a year's time when we want to go back to it, regardless of how good we thought the show was and how good the manager said our show was and how much he wanted it as the flagship.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, no, it was head and shoulders above the others. We didn't want us to say so.
As much as, you know, that may be true, I thought, you know, okay, we'll keep the stand-in house so that there's a slot for us to walk back into. Things could change within a year. It could even be taken over in the meantime, fingers crossed. And we'd have the stand-up sit down on there to walk back into. So I did book.
Yeah, we were confident. We were confident that whatever happened, we'd be able to just waltz back on it whenever we wanted to.
That's true.
Being the franchises that we are.
But I mean, like, regardless, I did book the stand-ins. But what's been of amusement to me, David, is that, like, slowly, you know how, like, when you invite people to the radio and you tell people about it, they always have, like, a really a bigger view of it, of what it is than it actually is.
Yeah.
It's been of amusement to me, like, they've slowly sort of been clued up as the weeks go on. They've been presenting their shows and they've just been, like, sending me things like, oh, you know, I sent out some tweets, like, there's been no replies, is the system working? Or things like that. And I think it's...
I didn't know about that, but I can so believe it.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say, should we admit the possibility that we religiously did this show for a year, travelling to London, hours on end, really religiously, dedicatedly, if that's a word,
It is now.
we did this show. There's a possibility it was listened to by precisely no one on FM.
Well, that's not true. It was listened to by everyone in the room.
Right, okay.
Except occasionally I would drift in and out.
The windows were open sometimes as well, but I mean, it is listened to, it's definitely listened to, it's listened to on my on my website, I have got genuine feedback, and the FM signal went out because we tried in Patrick's house. Remember me saying?
That's
tried
right.
in Patrick's
That's
house.
right.
It did go out.
So
I don't
there's
know-
every chance that by a happy accident, some people might have heard it.
right.
But I don't think anyone in London consciously chose to tune in to On FM. Not specifically to our show, but chose to tune in to On FM. Because why would you, to be
Yeah,
honest?
I know.
You know, you don't. Yeah, but yeah. The people out there on the street, they don't know about us and what we're doing and how great we are. So they're not gonna know to tune in. So why would you?
Rumour has it that the FM didn't even go out on FM in the last few months while we were gone.
Yes, of
Because it
course.
was getting that low, the what was being paid. That's madness.
Yeah, I think we'll have to call those the dark shows.
Yeah. So what's the plan?
The plan now is we're gonna sit here and eat pizza and watch Raw. I think that's where the stand-up sit-down is going now.
And that's the long-term plan as well for me personally.
Yes, so certainly the pizza eating.
I've got a bumper edition of Madness Happens, all the madness that's been going on in the past few months.
Shall we actually, since this is the final stand-up sit-down, shall we do Madness Happens?
Let's do it. Do you think it is the final stand-up sit-down? We move it to another station maybe?
You know what? I don't think we'll ever stop in some capacity or another because our careers hopefully are still actually continuing on beyond this. We will always have opportunities to do stand-up sit-downs.
Okay, have I told you about Tottenham Alice Cooper?
No, but I really want to hear it already.
I haven't told you about that.
No,
I don't know, I
no.
thought I might have said it on the show or something.
No, I would have remembered Alice Cooper.
Okay, there is a friend of my dad's, okay, who was a fan of Tottenham Hotspur and Alice Cooper. Okay, so how do you think he showed his fandom, David? How do you think he showed his fanship?
Dressed up as Alice Cooper in a Tottenham outfit?
Surely a more rational answer would have been perhaps just, buying their merchandise or listening to the playlist or going to see them live.
Well, because this is one of your stories, I knew not to go that mundane.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it's further than you suggested. He was a fan of Tottenham, he was a fan of Alice Cooper, so he changed his name legally to Tottenham Alice Cooper. Absolute madness.
And this is a legitimate friend of your
Friend of a friend of my dad's.
Doesn't matter.
So he's out there as Tottenham Alice Cooper. Thing is, but not even like Cooper Spurs or something, because Cooper Spurs wouldn't be a name where you'd go, that's mental.
Yeah.
Tottenham Alice Cooper is madness, isn't it?
That's just like some bizarre high score on Scrabble or something.
Yeah. Oh no.
There you
I'm
go,
not
Tottenham
surprised.
Alice Cooper.
I'm not surprised anymore. That doesn't surprise me. He liked Tottenham. He liked Alice Cooper. Changed his name to Tottenham Alice Cooper.
And I bought that story instantly, just like, yeah, that sounds logical to what I would expect.
There is a a single bedroom flat down my road, right?
Okay.
That they found out, they uncovered this, that is inhabited by 19 humans and a Great Dane.
How very specific.
Yeah. In a
19
single,
humans.
bedroom flat, 19 people and a Great Dane. Can you imagine the madness of that?
It's gonna. I think it's gonna get a little bit intimate
That's
in
a
there,
bit as
really, isn't
big
it?
as, what would it be? Because the rooms aren't as big as this room.
No, a single bedroom flat. Those of you watching at home, this room actually does extend beyond these four walls of the camera here, and it's bigger than what a single bedroom flat would be. So 19 bodies, all sweating and heaving and doing the things that people do with a. Is it a Great Dane?
Great Dane.
A Great
But
Dane.
not even a poodle or
No,
a chihuahua.
a dog that is bigger than a human.
Yeah.
This was just down the road from you.
Yeah.
I tell you what, fair play to the guy who's collecting the rent. He's doing all right. How did this come about? Was it a news story? Did police break in from complaints of the smell?
My sister used to.
Was one of the 19?
My sister was friends with one of the 19 at school,
Right.
and it was like years ago. But she somehow maybe news feeds or something nowadays.
You see, yeah, I would have actually really have liked that story in a Schadenfreude kind of way if I found out that someone that I went to school with was sharing a squat with 18 other people in the Great Danes. I'd think, one person who I know I'm doing better than.
Yeah. The other day I was in a situation where I had no choice, David, but to be. I had no choice but to pretend to be my wife Tina's granddad.
Ed, there's always a choice. You know the amount of times that it's come up where I've needed to pretend to be my girlfriend's granddad and I've said, no, there's another way.
Off the top of your head, what would you imagine that was?
I have no idea.
We went to visit the in-laws. Which included Tina's step-granddad, her biological granddad, who I would have to pretend to be, is out the picture.
Okay.
And when we went to visit the in-laws, it was for 1 week, right? And by like the third day, by half the week, it became apparent that it was like, it was actually, this was taking over the week. Because what was taking over the week was my interactions with her step-granddad. He's 91, he'd been in the war,
Right.
and although he doesn't have dementia, he is 91.
Yeah.
And it's not politically correct, but like there's something, he's got some, you know.
Yeah. He's not completely there.
Right, and he thought I was Tina's biological granddad, who he'd apparently had arguments with in the past. Now, you know, the rational person in you is surely saying, why didn't I simply explain that I wasn't her biological granddad?
That was going to be my next question.
Right.
I knew that there'd be a good answer though.
Why didn't I
Didn't doubt it for a
explain
second.
that I was my wife's husband as I introduced myself as? Well, because I did for 3 days and it wasn't going down well, and we realised there were other people to see in the family. The most logical choice was for me to pretend to be the biological granddad that he thought I was under the guise of my wife's husband, trying to infiltrate his family, and just have to apologise and right all the wrongs that the biological granddad had done in his life.
Was this like a my name is Earl making up for you for the past mistakes of someone else kind of thing?
But with someone else, which happened to be my wife's granddad. Yeah, he was saying things like all balmy things that apparently I, as the granddad, had done to him in the past. I had to apologise for the time that I sold every item in the house apart from the wedding photos. I had to apologise for that, which I did, sincerely. I had to apologise, my personal favourite, for the time when I robbed a bank with a toy gun and then stole an ice cream van as a getaway car.
See?
Yeah. But here's the bizarre bit. I came home afterwards and spoke with Tina, my wife, and said, oh, isn't that weird? I had to like apologise for all these balmy things. Like, you know, isn't it weird, the human brain, that he thinks I've done all these things and that I'm not even who I say I am? Tina's biological granddad in real life did do all those things. That's the extra twist. He actually did all those things.
The thing is, I can just, you know, when you were describing that had to be, I was completely on one thing. Yes, so he robbed a bank with a toy gun and then stole an ice cream truck. Because, well, for a start, I know that every story you tell is completely legitimate. I don't doubt that for a split second. And then now, also, because he's 91, that means these things probably happened in like kind of the 1930s or that kind of. I'm picturing this sort of last of the summer wine, wonderful dad's army kind of England.
I had to apologise for stealing the bath and going down a hill. Yeah.
That's just absolutely fantastic, and you know I hope that I get to 91 and I'm that balmy by that point as well. It'd be wonderful.
Just the staple of Madness Happens, a mattress incident. I saw a Mini driving along with a massive king-size mattress on top of it. Just quick sound bites here, lots of things like that I could reel off.
Yeah, well, I mean, please do. I mean, the floor is yours.
Well, I mean, this isn't something that happened this week, it's just something I thought I should comment on now, because I realised it became second nature to me. There is a man that I've seen for the last 20 years that walks around locally, and he wears an Asda bag on his head.
So, like one of the plastic bags.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever called him on it? As to why he's doing
well,
this?
the thing, I wanted to do that, but not as a taking the piss. I genuinely want to know, like, what is the reason.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't want to approach. I thought he might think I was taking the piss. And it's almost like, you know, when you watch Paul Daniels or something, you don't want to know the mystery sometimes. I don't want to know. I don't want to.
Well, I mean, you know, it's kind of an old lady thing. I mean, my gran used to wear like one of those kind of like plastic bag old lady things over her head to keep the rain off. And maybe just one time he was caught short out in the rain, and you know he had to put the bag on his head, and he kind of caught his reflection in the mirror. I was like, hey.
Well,
this could work.
I think that's too rational for my Madness Happens, isn't it?
It's probably
Could
to
be
keep
too rational.
it's probably to keep the alien voices out of his head, isn't it?
Actually, I'm not the only one with Madness Happens though, because did you hear? I don't know any of the details about this, but I just quickly read on the internet this morning. There was some like suburban town that suddenly had like they woke up to a giraffe running around a rampage. You know? Yeah, it's in the news.
No, I didn't hear this.
I was quite disappointed it didn't happen. It might have been my time. It might have been.
I think that's wonderful. I wish something like that would happen. I think that's why there was so much hysteria in Essex when there was word of a lion on the loose. Did you hear about this? Do you know about this?
Only that soundbite about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were all of these reports in Essex of people spotting a lion That was just on the loose around the town. Different reports from different people, no collaborating or anything.
Yeah.
People called the police saying, "Oh, we've seen a lion." Turns out it was a house cat.
What? Really? Why? How? I mean, like, what the hell? Well, but they were collaborating. So there was
They were
loads of different. What? Just a big cat?
Just a bigger than average house cat that was quite fluffy.
I'm trying to think of an animal that could look like a giraffe, but they're
They're
on their own, aren't they?
An extremely lanky no, but a cat. Different people in Essex genuinely, and I'm not knocking Essex here. I don't make the news. I just report it. They were phoning up saying there's a lion on the loose. It was a large house cat. Even a large house cat doesn't constitute a small lion.
No.
I think some people are so starved for anything to happen in their town.
I'm not. I've got more. I've got more and more. In an effort to lose weight, because obviously, I got the advice a few years ago that it's always best to be the bigger person. I took it literally.
Yeah.
I really do need to lose weight. I've been going on. I have like black and white thinking. I'm all or nothing, extremities.
Yeah.
So like instead of just doing 1 hour's exercise a day, I've been going on 4-hour walks with Tina in the middle of the night.
Yes, I've heard about these walks all the time. You'll send me a letter, at about. Well, you send me a Facebook message, at like 4:30 in the morning, saying, "Oh, I've just come back from a walk with Tina."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not awake in the day either. That is my daytime.
Well, yeah, in fairness, because let's face it, when you live in a town as colourful as you do, you wouldn't want to waste time going out during the daytime when it's bright and sunny and the normal people are out. No, you want to experience it in the dead of night.
Yeah, which is what I did. I went out at 4 a.m. and on the way back, so it would have been like. So at 4 a.m. it was about 3.5 hours into the walk, so I was knackered, which is the point of it.
Had you got down the stairs by that point?
Yeah. Well, you say that. I am actually legitimately out of breath going up and down the stairs nowadays. Honestly, there's no punchline to that. It's a tragic situation.
The fact is, there's 3 steps.
It's necessitated this walk.
That's why actually you would lose a ton of weight if you just put your fridge at the top of some stairs.
Yeah. I'm going to say back to this because the key is, David, as a comedian, you're supposed to say jokes instead of reporting actual facts.
Yeah, sorry. Whatever I do to get hilarious laughs.
Nowadays I can't afford anything for the fridge either.
No.
It's tragic, so I probably wouldn't lose weight. But I'd be going on these walks in an attempt to...
That is bad. Man, there's a lot of calories in all that air you're breathing, isn't there?
I saw a rabid dog at 4 a.m. on the motorway that was coming right at me. Can you imagine how scary that was?
Well, it was scary when I first imagined a rabbit dog coming at you. But actually, no. So like a rabid, a frothing at the mouth. Rabid dog. That's more plausible.
But I don't know what
genetic engineering.
Yeah, no, I don't know what the definition of rabid is, but it's a stray dog that's a Rottweiler or one of those types of ones.
And it was coming at you.
Coming at me.
Hard.
Barking, yeah. Barking.
It's not gay.
Yeah, barking loads and all that, and it's like you don't know. Even there was no frothing, all right, but you don't want to volunteer yourself to be bitten, do you? I don't know what to do. What would you do?
To be honest,
Does the play dead thing even work?
No, I think you're supposed to soil yourself.
Oh right, okay.
Oh, had you done that already?
Well, I did. I was going to say I needed a new technique by that point. You see, what I did was I was actually quite pleased with the ingenuity of this, and I jumped. There was like a big railing that wasn't. It wasn't an inclusive railing, obviously, because that'd be mental. But it was like 20 foot long, maybe.
Right.
And so I jumped over it. And even though I'm 15 stone, but at 4 a.m. after that long walk, pound for overweight pound, the old Max Skills magic came out. I was able to do it, David.
That's something that I'll always give you all the credit in the world for, and that just frustrated the hell out of me was that you still have this incredible sort of like gymnastic ability, which I can't hope to mimic. So I can completely believe that even like you said, not in the best shape you've ever been, you would have easily cleared that rail, no problem.
But I also had to whether I had athletic ability or not, because it was to me I was like fighting for my life. Right?
Yeah.
I jumped over the rail,
kicks in.
right? And he was like coming, and so like my thinking was he wouldn't jump over the rail. But I thought afterwards he could have actually, even though he didn't. But I didn't have any other choice anyway.
Yeah.
So I was like, so now I'm like, 10 foot that way of rail, 10 foot that way. Do you see what I mean?
Right, I'm
So
with
that
you.
if he was to come round the rail, I could then jump back over by the time he
Yeah.
reaches. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did that until a car went past, and because it was on the motorway, it was like on a roundabout thing. They weren't really concerned about me so much as like, oh, there's a wild dog that we saw on our, like, because we just came round here and we came back to
Right.
park and phone someone so that no traffic accident is caused. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Tina was jumping over the rails with me as well.
Was she?
Yeah, we had to. We were really
Fair play to
dangerous.
Tina.
Really, really worried about like because you're not anticipating it at 4 a.m. or
No.
whatever. Really, that. But I was quite pleased with the ingenuity of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
they called it and they sort of like just tranquilised it and that.
The dog or you?
Yeah, no. I tranquilised myself. It was 4 a.m. I was knackered. And I hadn't eaten any chocolate in 4 hours.
Oh,
So
good lord.
I'd already put myself to sleep from that. But we didn't see that happening. It was just that we kept in touch with the people and they told us that they hung around. But by that time, we were able to just go and then just kind of go quickly down.
You see, that occasionally makes me wish that I didn't keep such a normal schedule and that I did sleep during the day and go out at night just to see what kind of wacky adventures I could get up to. But I don't think that these kind of things would occur in Wokingham. It's just where it's like you always say, madness follows you wherever you go. You know?
Is. Madness does happen. And this one, I just thought, this is the last one, I just thought it was worth like saying, but it's not really that. Well, it kind of is madness because the residents of my town can take responsibility for putting this rumour out there. But my mum tragically heard that somebody from that she used to go to school with had died, and she was really like sad about this because she hadn't been in touch with her for ages. And then she saw her alive in the chip shop 2 weeks later. Can you imagine like the mind fuck of that?
You're supposed to be dead.
Yeah. And strangely, my sister had also had that happen. But what I liked most about her retelling of it was she said, "Oh, I saw that woman in town, a separate woman that had apparently died. So this happened twice. So that is madness. Someone else that she used to know, not the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is madness." I liked my brother-in-law's reaction to it because my sister said, "Oh, I saw that woman. I thought she died, but I saw her in town." And my brother-in-law said, "Like what? So she's alive then?" "No, there's a dead body propped up next to Grace." So complete mad.
Someone's doing some crazy weekend at Bernie's thing.
Yeah. That's all I've got at the moment as far as like sound bites and little stories from Madness Happens. But
I've missed that. I've been living in such a humdrum existence for the last 3 months or so. I've needed to hear some of that good old fashioned Madness Happens because that's one thing I think both of us have picked up on over the last few months is that we've missed doing the show.
yeah, we have missed doing it really. I thought there was still a chance it was going on because my sort of initial what I learned about this situation was from my stalker, who is also at the radio station, and I was assumed.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that I never got the chance to meet this guy either.
No, I invited him on the show because I really wanted to have like a round table with me, you, and him. A genuine round table as well, but just for you to meet him. But so when I learned that like it was all going downhill, I thought maybe he'd just given me wrong information, but
Yes.
Apparently not. It has shut down. We didn't swear once on the show, did we?
No, we actually had a perfect record.
We did have a perfect record. We can swear now.
We had a lot. Fuck yeah, we had a lot of innuendo, which was always providing non-stop entertainment for ourselves. But no, we never broke any of the broadcasting standards or rules whatsoever.
Not at all, which is a shame because the last show I wanted to do, if we did an intentional last show, was to break every single one of the 40 rules.
Well, we were going to come in drunk, weren't we?
Oh, we didn't do that either.
That was it. We never did the drunk show, which was a shame because it wouldn't have taken a hell of a lot for either one of us to get steaming pissed.
No, I don't need alcohol to make me feel lethargic at all. Talk nonsense.
No. The great facilitator isn't really required.
Nah.
Although it is wonderful that we're actually back here waxing lyrical on this sofa because the last time we did this it was after about 14 hours of non-stop heavy drinking.
That was terrible. Like afterwards, it was terrible.
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't got drunk since. Not really drunk. You know that was the last time with you.
Because like people go when they have a bad experience with a hangover, they go, "Oh, never again." But you've actually stuck to it.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you have as well. You haven't drunk that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've drunk since then, but I stood by it. When I said never again, I meant never again.
Yeah, I know. It was because I was sick. Cause I wanted to film it, but I think I hadn't seen you that much since. It was like I caught up with you after 7 years, so I at least had the common sense to think he'd think it's weird if I film this, whereas now I wouldn't have any reservations about
No,
doing
not
it.
the slightest.
Yeah, but no, it was a good night though. It was terrible the next day.
Oh yeah, what was actually funny was a few days later you did a blog about it.
Yeah.
And I was sort of scrolling down reading the blog and I saw a picture come up of you looking like so tired and haggard and bedraggled.
Yeah.
And I was
And then I put the one afterwards.
yes! I was like, oh god,
Yeah.
that's bad then. I was like, and here's the after picture. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
I'm sorry, was that where you're going with it?
yeah.
Anyway,
It actually was.
I believe you. But also, remember like the night before, we were talking about the Four Horsemen, a wrestling stable,
Yeah.
their schedule, and we were like talking what they like drunk and stuff, and we were like, oh, it probably wouldn't be too bad, like, and we were thinking of getting back into wrestling at the time, and then the next morning, no.
No.
Definitely not doing that schedule.
Ironically though, now you do resemble Ole Anderson even more, and I resemble Ric Flair by dropping my trousers on every other occasion. So
Yeah.
so we do have some synchronicity.
We
but,
do.
But the heavy drinking,
Definitely not.
no, definitely not.
No, and of course the main difference between us and the Horsemen being that we're not wrestling at all.
No, in the slightest, which is something that we need to address.
At the moment, we do need to address it. I don't know what the plan is short term.
No, it's a bit difficult because I mean that really the only reason that we stopped before was because I got my ass fired, which meant that I lost my financial ability to train and my ability to travel to training.
Yeah.
Which sort of scuppered us both really because we would meet up and do this. And unfortunately, where we were training was a fantastic place, but it wasn't easy to get to. So without transport, that was a huge problem. Then without a job, I can afford public transport. So that's completely scuppered it. And it's literally, for me, it's been a year of living hand to mouth, really ghastly. But finally, I do have a job, and I can get back to hopefully starting to do this soon. And Ed, I think you're sort of in the same kind of mindset. You're looking to get back into this as well now.
Pretty much. I'm just editing like all my stuff, and I'm going to feel so liberated when I finish that. But what I'm worried about, right, is that weird thing where we did like training when we were younger, like early 20s.
Yeah.
And then we took a massive break from it and then went back to it. But during that break, we were feeling like we were ready to go. Like we could have done a match at any point.
Yeah.
So we'd had the training, yet 10 years later, you can't just walk back into a promotion and get a match.
No.
And I'm worried that maybe the same will happen now that we've walked away from the momentum of comedy.
That's always a possibility. I think my saving grace is that I don't think I've built up very much momentum anyway.
No, but I'm saying that if people hear you, like say if there's promoters, say that we don't, for some financial or circumstance reason, we don't go into comedy for another 3 years. Let's just say, I'm not planning for that time. The promoters will think that we've been going every night in London since they first heard of us.
Yeah.
And that might be bad. Do you know what I mean there?
Possibly, but I think you don't need to overanalyze it that much. Because also with the London circuits, despite all the people getting into comedy, the circuit is not that huge, and promoters will see pretty much anyone who's doing much of anything. So if you haven't been around for 3 years, then promoters will not assume that they've just not caught you. They will know that you just haven't been around doing it.
Cool, yeah.
Otherwise they would. I think like the hustle that you show to promoters by trying to get booked, they will think like, well, if he was showing this much hustle for the last 3 years, I would have seen him.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I don't think you need to be concerned about that at all, really.
Okay.
It's definitely it's harder to get by in wrestling than it is in comedy.
Yeah, that's what the major thing was for me. I felt so liberated that suddenly there's no age limit on comedy. We can do it when we want. Anyway, because of the circumstance, we might not be going back like tomorrow, but I don't regret the fact that we have left the radio actually. My only regret is that for this last show I wanted to get a review from long-time listeners will know our the comic book.
Long-time listeners. You and me.
Yeah. The comic book guy. The comic book guy.
Yes.
That apparently, that he criticised the show when I put it on Facebook.
Of course, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
He really is like comic book guy, and I wanted him to like review the last show. I
Oh,
wanted him
of
to do
course.
that because hilariously I saw a picture on Facebook of him at a battle reenactment, and I'm not. Do you know this battle reenactment?
Yes.
But I'd actually like to go on a battle reenactment myself.
Yeah.
But it just it sort of cemented to me that he was like comic book guy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I really
do
wanted to
you know, it might be a bit too specific, but do you know if it was like a historical battle reenactment or like a Dungeons and Dragons LARPing type of thing? Because I think that would be wonderful.
I don't know which one.
The LARPing role playing.
What's the difference between that one and the other?
Well, you got two kinds. You got the historical battle reenactments where people get dressed up in the historical costumes and they recreate what happened, and then you got LARPing, which is the live action role playing, which I'm giving away far too much, how much knowledge I have of it. Is that people will dress up as warlocks and barbarians and elves and dwarves, and they will just have live action role playing, fighting with each other in a forest in Dagenham somewhere.
I see. Well, I don't know.
Which, well, it's wonderful either way.
But either way, to me, because I didn't know about it so much, I thought, he's definitely like a comic book guy. So I wanted him to do a review of the last show. Well, I suppose I could send it to him still.
Oh, why not? I'm
We
sure
just
he'd be
wouldn't
touched that you'd want to know his opinion.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be talking about it, I suppose. But you know, on the actual show, on the stand-up sit-down when we did it, we always did that 2 hours of hiding our contempt for the human race, building up to just, you know, disguising it as a show, as light chit-chat, building up to something that someone wanted to promote.
Yes.
You have something you'd like to promote, your reviews.
Oh, that's very true. Yes, good segue. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, taking a page from what you've been doing, this is hugely derivative, but something that I hope I kind of try to make my own as well, is that I've been combining my love of professional wrestling with my arguable ability to string sentences together, and I've been putting together a internet review show of specifically WrestleMania 7. I ideally want to go into doing a weekly review of classic wrestling pay-per-views. I'm going to call it the Armbar Critic, and it's going to be a look back very affectionately, very fondly on the business that we both love. And I'm going to be analysing the different shows and the different matches, but not just that, because you go onto YouTube and you put in wrestling review and there's hundreds of guys just sat in front of a camera, very sad looking people who have never known the touch of a real woman, just talking about what they liked or didn't like about the work rate or something. I don't want to do that. I want to turn it into a real multimedia project. And to that end, I've spent months and months, which I think Ed can appreciate, editing my talking head.
It takes a long time, doesn't it?
It takes such a long time.
More than people give credit for.
The worst thing is that no one will ever know the effort that you put into it. They're watching, I'm like, oh, that's good, yeah. They will never know the hours that went into it.
Then it comes back to that whole thing of like, if you're doing it for you, at its core, you're doing it for you, right?
Completely, because to be honest, no one enjoys watching it back more than I do. I've got that arrogance of like, you know, I want to have something that I can make that in 20 years' time I can watch back and go like, yeah, I made that. That was really good. If I can get kudos from it as well, then that's all the better. I hope it might open up some doors for me. But in the meantime, it's just something I really enjoy doing because, again, I'm using it as an outlet for my comedic writing as well, because also I found like I'm not good at writing comedy for I'm not good at script writing or anything because I'm too self-centered and egotistical. I want to write stuff for myself. So if I'm writing comedy for myself to do on this show, then I'm actually quite productive with it. So the show isn't just me sitting in front of a camera and reviewing wrestling. It involves skits and characters, and there's actually a narrative story going through it. I'm splicing in bits of media from films and TVs. If you're a geek, if you're a nerd, if you love all these kind of things, then there's going to be something for you. So yeah, if you like your corny references, if you like your parodies and pastiches, then there's going to be something for you. If you like all of those and you like wrestling as well, then the only thing you're not going to like is me. So everything balances out, really. There's enough good stuff to get past my obnoxiousness. So check. I think I start to realise what you have to put up with as well with your like thinking and thought process, because you say you have to do it for yourself, or what would appeal to you, and you're completely right, because if you do worry too much, because I think I'm not sure if you do, you don't need to worry about too much, but you must have some thought about like saying, oh, do I want to do this bit because I don't want to alienate someone?
Yeah, I think that it's true when you say like just do it for yourself, because I just do my things for myself. That, like if I was thinking of like commercial success, I'd sort of cut this bit out, cut that bit out. At its core, it's just my scrapbook. So I did it for 10 years, just shared it with my family, just made it for my family and me. It's just so easy to share on the internet now.
Yeah.
Did you know that there's a radio show airing in Vancouver, New York and Canada and somewhere else. Vancouver is in Canada, isn't it?
I wasn't going to pick you up on that, but yeah.
Well, there's three. It's Vancouver, New York, and somewhere else. Then.
Okay.
No, Toronto, Vancouver, New York.
Toronto, Vancouver, New York, yeah.
In those places, there was a radio show called The Stand Up Sit Down airing.
No, what? Really? You mean well, how long have they been going for? I'm sure we got there first.
It's the archives of our show, The Deal I've Come To.
Really?
Yeah. So that's
You love doing this. You
Yeah.
love busting these things out on the air for
yeah,
me.
that's my agent now.
That's all right. Tell them we'll call them
Millions rolling in.
back. Our secretary will get the phone. Don't worry, we won't.
is it another offer for you, David, with the millions rolling in? Is that WWE that said about your video?
No, I told them to call me after 4 o'clock. No, that's fine. Let it go to voicemail.
That reminds me. Shall we call Nicola? Because she does owe us a conversation.
She does,
The manager
doesn't she?
of On FM. Because what can we lose from this? We just say, look, we need to find out what's happening.
A whole fat lot of nothing. Okay. Well, the story that we were told was that she skipped the country. Do we know if that was the case? Go. I'm
Well,
not
I'll
making
tell
an
you what,
international goal.
I'll be absolutely. Oh right, yeah. I know. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that at all. I
Because
heard.
what was the story? Yeah, let's actually break this down now.
Yeah, let's break down what the story was. So we got an email
Yeah.
from. I got an email from my stalker saying it looks like the station's going under, and I worry about this because what happens is I try to ignore him.
Right.
Okay, but he always writes stuff that I cannot ignore. So it would be, do you know what I mean? Because I've got these stand-ins hosts. But
Yeah.
if there is a rumour that On FM is going down,
Mhm.
I have to address it so that I can tell them.
Yeah, of course.
So I have to follow
you
the
can't
steps.
just let it go.
Yeah, I have to follow the step.
Yeah.
Susie, our stand-in host, who is reliable, told us both by email later on. The manager skipped the country, all of the equipment thrown out in the street, and
Which is crazy.
it is madness, isn't it?
I think there's just one person who can settle this for us.
No. So can it go on speakerphone?
I think so.
He's
Yes.
going to speak, yeah?
Oh no, I think you need to speak. You're far better at this than I am.
That's not true.
No, I'm good at talking corporate polite speak. You're better at confronting people. This
That's not true at all.
Oh, it completely is. What are you talking about?
But do you know what though? Before you actually phone,
Yes.
I don't want it to be that it is still going on.
No, I don't either.
Because if we actually speak, do you know what I mean? Does it come across why we would want that? Should we explain why we both feel that way? We feel
Yeah.
like that we'll be stuck in a rut and not forced on to doing like a festival or a fringe or something if we spend the next year at this radio station.
Yeah.
And we feel like it's much better if we could always leave them, why not leave? But if it's out of our hands, in life in general, if the decision's out of your hands, the stress is off. So we were relieved when it was shut down.
Yeah, because it was just one less thing that we had to bother about doing, basically.
Yeah.
But no, I think we should get to the bottom of this.
If she says come in on Wednesday.
We can say, well, yeah, we've been told this, we've been told that. No one's been in touch with us. We'll do it together.
It's a conference call.
Yeah, well, you can say I'm here with David Paris. We just want to find out what's going on. We're not on the air, and I'll join in just if you do.
On
the main
the
talking.
serious side though, that's going to cost you a fortune, isn't it? Because I didn't think of that. I don't think she'll answer.
I'm guessing she won't either.
Do you want to cut it off so it doesn't go to voicemail and cost you?
Hello, Nicola.
Nicola, you're killing me.
That adds weight to the tail of it.
It does.
Skip the country.
Being ignored.
So, I mean, I know of a few radio stations in London, so you might see it again, but as far as... There's someone coming in the house at the moment, which...
Yeah. Hi, Dad.
Dad?
Hiya.
Hiya.
Shall I just tell?
Sorry, we can carry on wherever we were.
Let's just round it up anyway.
Yeah. So we can sort of wrap it
Okay,
up now.
well... Okay. But for all intents and purposes, this is the last stand-up sit-down. at least for a short while or a long while, but never say never.
Yeah, who knows what the future holds? You know, anything can happen. It really can do, and I think we've managed to actually achieve so much in the time that we have done. We've generated some crazy opportunities.
All right.
Hiya, how you doing? All right.
We're filming a video blog about these. No, it's fine. We're filming a video blog about the stand-up, sit-down, and sort of where we've gone, what we're doing, where we're going.
It's to explain the hilarious failure of it, which I'm sure you've heard about.
No.
Oh, where the equipment was thrown out in the street.
Yeah, the radio. It's only happened just the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The manager apparently skipped the country to America.
Ed and I stepped away over the summer and got some people to step in and do the show for us. Yeah. And then one of the people who was doing the show emailed us saying that they weren't able to get into the studio. And it transpired that the manager had skipped the country, not paid any rent to the television studio at all.
Oh no!
Like, all the equipment had been thrown out in the streets.
Really?
The whole time that we were at the Riverside studio, we were saying, "Where's the money coming from?
Yeah.
How are they affording?" Because they're having the studio decked out and made
I
from
remember you
scratch.
telling me so. Yeah.
It was being
Yeah.
soundproofed, and it was a riverside view. It was stunning. All we kept asking was, how are they paying for this?
Which they weren't.
It turns out they weren't. I'm sure she was planning to go to Vegas maybe, and so try and get some winnings to pay for it, but it just like that. So it seems that Ed and I took a hiatus at just the right time because.
Didn't you?
I'm saying what's going on my CV is we left and then it had to shut down. I just report those facts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Open
which
to
is what happened.
interpretation.
The whole place fell apart after we left.
Yeah.
Dear, oh dear.
And that is the end of that.
There you go, and we can list my dad as a cameo on the show now.
Yeah. Alright then. Never say never then.
Yeah,
Never say
absolutely.
never.
Watch this space because I think as Sting said in his final WCW appearance, all you can expect is that you never know what to expect.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being the co-host. I think we can agree that On FM screwed On FM.
Yes.
I have no sympathy.
No sympathy for On FM.
No sympathy whatsoever for On FM.